Jim Kimo West is I mean, you had a good year, didn't you?
It has been a good year. I've been doing what I like, and I happened to just by some weird twist of fate got nominated for a Grammy, which was crazy, but it's all good. It's all great.
And what was interesting is you've been playing music for a long time, right? And
yeah, I've been playing professionally since I was 16, so I pretty much have played music all my life.
And what was interesting is this beautiful release you put out really was slack key. You're very good in slack key and recognized. But I would have imagined it would have gone into an instrumental category or maybe roots category, but it was put in new age, right?
Yeah, it's funny because with the Grammys, you enter into whatever categories you think it fits, but then the Grammy folks tend to decide where they want to put it, so they kind of make the final decision. Now, my previous record, my previous solo record, Guitar Stories, it was all instrumental, so I entered it into what they call contemporary instrumental, but then they switched it to the New Age category. And so on this last one, I thought, well, I think some really nahe slack key could fit into the New Age category. So when I put it out, I entered it into both regional roots and the New Age category, and then when they finally sorted it out, they just basically had me in the New Age category. So.
And then you got nominated, and that is what. And I have to say, Jim, the New Age category is a very difficult category. There's a lot of people who enter in the New Age category. Most of them, my friends. Although I didn't know a couple of people. There were a couple of people that were nominated I'd never heard of. But that was really quite an honor. I mean, what were your first thoughts when you saw that you were nominated?
I was completely shocked. I was having my coffee one morning, and I had sort of remembered that they were going to announce the nominations. I wasn't too, I wasn't really thinking about it too much because I didn't really think I had any real chance. So I was having my coffee and reading the paper and in the morning, and my phone, was on the other side of the room, and the ringer was off because I keep it off at night. I don't want to get bugged by the. And anyway, so it just kept vibrating a lot. It was like, and it was just going off like crazy. And then I thought, well, that's weird. And I thought, well, maybe somebody's trying to get a hold of me, And so I picked my phone up, and it was just, hundreds of messages.
Oh, wow. Wow. And then that whole exciting adventure of going down and going to the nomination party, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it was a busy week, a week of, various nominee events and
parties.
Yeah, parties. I did miss one event, though I really wanted to go to, and that's the event they always have every year at the Grammy Museum, which is for the Hawaiian music.
Yes, they had a good one.
Yeah, and I've been to it before, and I was invited to perform. It would have been really fun. But after the first event, I think it was the week before on Saturday, they have a nominees. I think it was called Nominee Celebration or something. It was like a brunch at a restaurant, and I was shaking a lot of hands. And the next day, I came down with a terrible cold.
Oh no! Oh,
and so I just thought on that the day of that Grammy Museum party, I just. It was like, I was in no shape to go anywhere. I thought, I just got to stay home. So I had to cancel on that. But everything else I went to, and it was, super fun.
Well, for the people who may not know your background, it's pretty interesting, of course. You were inspired years and years and years ago. What was it, in the 80s you went to Hana the first time?
Yeah, in 1985, just by chance, a friend of mine, I had been on the road touring, and towards the end of the tour, a friend of mine, he said, hey, I'm going to go over to Hawaii and visit a friend. You should come along. We'll hang out in Hawaii for a couple weeks. And I said, yeah, sure. I had never been to Hawaii. And so the place we went was, we flew into Kahului, the old Kahului airport.
Oh, my gosh, when they had the banyan tree.
Yeah, the old Kahului airport. And then we got on the little Royal Hawaiian plane right into Hana. And, I'd never been anywhere. I mean, all I had seen of Hawaii was the airport at Kahului, and then I went right into Hana. And so, we got picked up at the little Hana airport and went out to the house, which was about 5 miles beyond Hana, and stayed with a family there, Kamaina family, been in Hawaii for a long time. And it was really amazing. But it was funny because I had never even seen Lahaina, so I just thought all of Hawaii was like Hana.
I know. So
did you seen Waikiki?
Well,
it was just
did you go in and see the rest of it, or drive in, or you didn't have a car or anything? So you flew in.
Eventually we did. We did take a trip to the other side a week or so later, and went to Ka'anapali and did some things, some touristy stuff. But what was amazing about that trip, besides just the beauty of Hana and sort of being thrown right in the deep end of Hawaiian culture, because I was immediately going to local luau's, real local parties, and meeting a lot of local Hawaiian people, and then of course hearing Slack Key for the first time. At the house they had a lot of records of Hawaiian music and a lot of Hawaiian Slack Key records, and when I heard that music, I just thought, this music sounds just like the place. It sounds like it's coming out of the earth.
It does.
And
it does.
And I really, developed an affinity for Slack Key, and I didn't really try to play it for a long time. I just really liked to listen to it, and then, after by that point.
Did you play guitar, regular guitar at that point?
I had been playing guitar for a long time, and I had played with open tunings, which we use in Slack Key before, so I kind of understood. I understood it technically, but anyway, I fell in love with Hana and ended up going out there a lot and living out there for a while, and eventually Slack Key just sort of crept into. I've always been a composer. I've always written music, and eventually, starting in the '90s, all of a sudden I just started writing Slack Key tunes, and I didn't really study didn't study the standards that much, but I just kind of made up my own style of Slack Key, and I would record the songs so that I wouldn't forget them. And eventually I had about a dozen songs, and somebody said, "Well, you have all these songs. Why don't you put out a CD?" And I hadn't even thought of that, But
were you making a living playing it all, or how were you able?
Oh yeah. I was playing music full time, and. Like I say, I've been playing music, pretty much made a living from music since I was 16. So music has been my full-time occupation all these years.
But there are not that many places. I guess the Hana Hotel was there when you were there.
Well, I was also doing a lot of projects in California and Los Angeles. So I wasn't just making a living in music playing in Hana. When things would be quiet on the mainland, because I've been touring for years with Weird Al. That's my day job.
Yeah, Weird Al is amazing. I worked in radio at K-Rock years ago, and then I went to KMET. And Weird Al was, there was nothing else quite like him. And of course, he was a huge phenomenon. That was back in the 70s, and still is. And how did you hook up with Weird Al and get playing with him? That must have been pretty bizarre.
Yeah, it was. I grew up in Florida, and I moved to Los Angeles in the early '80s because I knew there wasn't really much opportunity where I was, and I really needed to be somewhere where there was a real happening music business. And just like a year or so after I moved to LA, I met Al, and just by chance, I was referred by somebody to, audition for his band. He had just got his record deal and wanted to have a band, and so I got hired, and we played some gigs, and then we did the next record, which broke out on MTV, which was huge, and so we were touring, and it's been a very, very long career, but it's been a great one.
But what's amazing is that actually a lot of the musicians who do the original music that he does parodies of really love what he does. Some of them you go, wow.
Yeah, people consider it an honor, because when he does a parody, your song has to really be a huge song, a hugely popular song. He's not going to parody something that's underground or that's not well known. Mm-hmm. So, and he's been doing it ever since. The last record It's been a few years now, but it was a Billboard #1.
Wow, really?
Actual #1 Billboard.
And a lot of people may not realize it because they're just thinking it's all funny. But I mean, really, all like you, many great musicians in the band. And
yeah, the band is good. It's we better be good for playing together as long as we have.
Yeah, yeah. And so I mean, that's a nice way to make a living.
Yeah. So what I was saying before was that I would tour with Al and I also got into composing music for film and television. But sometimes,
that's great.
A lot of times things are quiet, and when things would be quiet, I would just stay out in Hana. I'd go out there for sometimes a couple of months at a time.
Chill. What was your favorite place to go in Hana? What's the favorite? I know you recently came back and you stayed in Hamakua Bay.
When I was over there on this last trip, I play a couple of times a year at Napili Kai, Uncle George Kahamoku's Black Tea Show.
Yeah.
And so I usually stay over there at Napili Kai for a few days, and then I went to stay out in Hana. I don't have a place of my own there anymore, but I stayed with a friend's house out in Hana for about a week.
It's Hamoa. Is it Hamoa Beach?
No. It's, I do go to Hamoa Beach, but where I was staying was about, 4 miles beyond that.
Oh, okay, further out, yeah.
Yeah, kind of out going towards Ko'ali.
Uh-huh.
Actually, they call it Mu'olea there, Mu'olea Point.
Nice.
But it's just I love Hana and.
Well, I do too, and I haven't been out there in years. You've actually. I mean to go out. I love Hana. It's really, truly like old Hawaii, and it's got a magic about it. The black sand beach, of course. It must have been amazing to you when you first saw the black sand beach, right?
Yeah. Well, there were so many great secret places too that even today, that nobody really knows about. I know places to go where you'll never see another person, and it's. Just incredibly beautiful,
Well, do not put out a book called Hana Revealed, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think people don't realize when there's this Hawaii Revealed, Maui Revealed. I go to places that were always sacred, secret places, and I see this book, and all of a sudden people are going there and really just ruining them. I hate to say that, but people do not understand the sacredness of certain spots,
we used to go down to Blue Pool at Ulaino and pick watercress and swim in the pool there, and if you saw anybody there, it would be that would be a surprise. Maybe you might see one or two people, but just local people. But in Red Sand Beach, those kind of places were publicized, so they're.
Well, they are. The Red Sand Beach is now, unfortunately.
I'm answering the door right now because I have a FedEx package.
Okay.
I'm going to sign for it.
Well, that's okay. So when you did get the dream kind of many musicians is to get nominated for a Grammy, and here you've been playing all your life. What did Weird Al have to say about you getting nominated for a Grammy?
Well, he was really excited about it, and his wife Suzanne told me, Al was also nominated for a packaging for his last box set as more of a packaging category, but I know Al's wife said, "Oh, Al is just over the moon that you got nominated. He's really excited." Mm-hmm. So we got to hang out at the nominee reception and all that, and it was fun. It was, and I had been to the Grammys a couple times before when Al, won Best Comedy Recording, and quite a number of years ago. But it was quite an experience because, of course, I think, I know the second time, I can't remember what record it was. It was quite a while back. I think it was called Poodle Hat, the record, but it won Best Comedy Award, and we, he was on Sony label, and, so I was with him, through the whole media, red carpet experience, and then we went to we didn't go to the Grammy party, we went to the Sony party.
Oh, that's a nice one.
And so we were hanging around upstairs with, Ellen and Paris Hilton and Santana and everybody.
Wow, nice.
Big A-list, Hugh Hefner.
Wow. Well,
but it was an amazing experience to go as a nominee. That was amazing.
Well, the next one, of course, and I have to say my CD, I have to give myself a plug, Peace, Music, and Poems is nominated for a Nahoku Hanohana Award in the religious category.
Awesome.
So we're not up against each other, but, you're going to be, I think you got a good chance on that one. You were on the ballot, the initial ballot, right, for...
I am going to be nominated because I think there was only 4 or 5 entries.
Don't you love that? Yes. Which category was that? Was that in slack key?
That's in the slack key category, yeah. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, it's nice, but the only thing I'm kind of sad that there's not more, younger people taking up slack key, well,
we know Uncle George. Uncle George is out there teaching people left and right, but it's interesting, and I know what's happening is that all the kids now want to learn ukulele, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ukulele has kind of become the biggest thing.
Yeah, it has, because it's easy and kids can learn pretty easily, and...
Yeah. And everybody in Hawaii grows up playing ukulele. Usually people get ukuleles when they're 3 years old.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great teachers out there for ukulele right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. But anyway, it would have been nice to see more entries, but in fact, I think last year, they didn't even have a slack key category because there were only 3 entries.
My gosh.
They didn't have enough entries. So,
wow.
That's really sad.
It is. Wow.
But
so
getting back to
are you going to come out? Are you going to come out too?
I'm hoping to. It just sort of depends on my schedule, but I'm in rehearsals for the new Weird Al tour in May. And so it kind of depends on if I can break away, from the rehearsals.
Is that in L.A.? Are you doing that?
Yes, yeah. We're rehearsing in Los Angeles. We have a big tour coming up starting in June, and it's a big production with a full orchestra and backup singers and video and massive show.
He's got such an interesting mind, that he thinks out of the box and people love it. Who would think you do the whole big orchestra and then backup singers, right? It's like... But that's what it takes on these shows these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the last tour we did, which was the beginning of last year, we did a stripped down tour where there was no production or no costumes. It was just us playing, and we didn't play any of his famous parodies.
Oh, really?
We played all his original material, which is, really brilliant and funny and witty and great, musically great. And all his fans, of course, know all that music. So we had a pretty much sold-out tour just doing that with no production. Basically just the 5 of us on stage playing everything just on the spot. And I think we did a different set every night.
Wow, that's something. What's his biggest hit? What do people want to hear most?
Gee, I think one of the biggest ones that people seem to like is Yoda. No, I'm sorry. The Saga Begins. The Saga Begins and Yoda. Those are both Star Wars oriented pieces.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. And they're based on Star Wars, the Star Wars story. So
interesting.
Yeah. So those have always been big, and now tends to end the show with one of those or both of them.
Really?
Sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's great talking to you. I'm just really excited. I am truly excited for you that you got to that level and the recognition, because, it's great to be able to get a paid gig with someone like Weird Al and all these years, not worry, but it's not the same as your own music and doing your own
right.
thing. And, it is different.
I call my Weird Al job, I call it my day job.
Yeah, it's a good day job, isn't it? It's a good.
It is. It is a great day job. But anyway, I've been playing slack key all these years, and I've put out about 9 CDs now.
What's the best website? What's the best site to go to if people want to hear your music or get your music?
You can just go to JimKimoWest.com, JimKimowest.com. That's my main site.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, I'm on all the different streaming networks and Spotify and Pandora and Apple Music and.
I have to tell you something funny, Jim. I'm always checking. I have a lot of musician friends, as it is when you're a Grammy voting member. You get thousands of friends, right? But I saw one of my friends from the Grammys posting a question, asking people, what do you listen to music? Where do you listen to music? Pandora, Spotify, or I forget one of the other ones. And I'm going, wait a second, what about radio? What about not even included in a choice? It's like, whoa, folks, you know, you forgot about radio.
I listen to radio more than anything else because I listen to most of my music when I'm in the car. You know, in L.A., you do a lot of driving.
Oh, yeah.
And so the car is a great place for it. And I have my car's old enough to have a CD player still.
Good. Mine is too.
So I mostly listen to CDs in my car, especially when it comes Grammy season and everybody's sending CDs.
Yes.
I listen to everything in my car because my car has a fantastic stereo. And then I listen to radio, and I listen to almost all, mostly public radio in Los Angeles because
I know.
Stations that have some great music shows and world music shows and jazz. So I love radio because it's unexpected. You never know what you're going to hear next.
Well, I've been in radio all my life pretty much, and I started there in L.A. radio, of course, and then started when it got too tight a playlist, went north and started KVRE in Santa Rosa, and then came here 30 years ago. So radio's been my background, but only because of the music. But now, there's a lot of freedom in talk radio, so I can do this with talk radio as well, which is nice as well, But I mean, I've known your name and I've seen your work, and I know it is nice to know. I know the independent community really does support each other, and I know they were thrilled when they saw you win. And there were a lot of people, get nominated, and there were a lot of people going, "Oh my gosh, you didn't win!" Right? And there were some people going, "Oh, I wish," a lot of your group and your friends were hoping and rooting for you. But, we're just glad.
I know, it's wonderful to have so much support. Yeah.
Yes, they're very supportive, and we're just glad that you got nominated. It does give hope to people. We need our hope to keep going on our individual projects, right?
It was such a thrill, and it's kind of when something like that happens, you just feel like you're going to, you just sort of feel all that love and support, and it's almost like, you feel like your heart's going to explode because it's like an overload. It's like, oh my God, Well, it's really an amazing feeling.
Well, thank you for taking the time to call in, Jim. It's really been a pleasure talking to you. And next time you come out, you'll have to come visit the station.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I'll be out there in late September and early October. I'll be doing a show 2 Wednesdays in a row at Uncle George's Slack Key show with my friend Ken Emerson. Yeah. So we'll be playing the last Wednesday in September and the first Wednesday in October. So, and when we do that, we just stay at Napili Kai the whole week.
Mm-hmm. Well, good hearing from you, and have a wonderful tour with Al, and good luck on the Nahokus.
Mahalo, you too.
Okay.
And congratulations, and I'll make a point to when next time I'm on Maui to try and come in to the station.
Definitely. Okay, take care and aloha.
Okay.
Aloha. Ahuyo. All right, that was nice talking to him. Nice guy, huh?
Yeah.
And to play with Weird Al. And
still play.
And still play with Weird Al, yeah. So, and I'm so glad you came in, Christine, and gave us another look at the Edge. There's another side to the Edge. And I'm very glad because, you know what? You're a very optimistic up person, and truthfully, with me, I'm going, I would have started freaking. So I'm glad to know. It's better to know what you're getting into than not. So thank you for coming in and giving us that update.